Hello, everybody, and welcome back to that FPL show. It's Gameweek 8 review time. I'm joined by Rodion. No Danny this week as he's feeling a little bit under the weather, but doesn't matter. We still soldier on. I'm sure one of us is going to be missing one day, Rod, but we keep this train going.
We do. Boys will be boys, but it is nice to be joined by you today, Jack. And
yeah,
that's some good football.
Yeah, man. I mean, let's get straight into it. Let's talk bloody FPL. That's what we're here to do. How was your week anyway?
To be honest, mate, it was... I can't really say it was good. I can't really say it was bad. But going off the average, it looks quite good. But I definitely know it could have been better. But I think the standout player of the game week is Salah, I think.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I know we both captained him. We was talking whilst the... who was it? Watford and Liverpool game? We was talking about when that was on. First of all, how many points did you get?
I finished on 59.
Oh, that's pretty solid. Because I felt pretty happy with my 60. So, yeah, that was pretty good. So, what, standout player, Salah? Anyone else really do it for you?
To be honest, mate, I wasn't expecting Livramento to keep another clean sheet against Leeds, but he did. And then, obviously, we got the Trent clean sheet, which was, I think, a given. And then Cancelo, which I wasn't too sure was going to play. I thought it'd be Cancelo not playing and Diaz playing, but it turned out to be the other way around. So, bar that, I don't really think there were too many other scorers. Sanchez in goal, but that was a given also. But bar that, there wasn't really too many other high-scoring players.
Yeah, you almost give it away as well, Sanchez. A big error on his part, almost conceded a goal, but we'll talk about that later on. Yeah, I think mostly for me, it was all in the defence and Salah. I had Sanchez in goal, I had Livramento, Robertson and Duffy all getting clean sheets. Which really helped me this week. Duffy only got 5 points as he got a yellow card. My other defender was Semedo, who had a bit of a shocker. He's on 1 point. But yeah, Salah captain, 26 points, got us off to a really good start. It was a bit of a shame, I felt, over this game week. The fact that, some of the big boys really didn't turn up. Ronaldo, Lukaku, both on 2 points. I had Antonio and Benrahma on 1. Gray on 2, and as I said, Semedo. So yeah, the bulk of my points coming from Salah and my defence. Feel a bit lucky, to be honest. I feel like my teams have been in pretty poor form, but to get a decent score, try and catch up with a few of you and the other boys in our league, feeling a bit better about myself. It was a weird one, Rod. There was a lot of players missing due to the international break and coming back from South America. We talked last week about hopefully, United and Liverpool getting a plane together to get some of their players back, but a lot of people missing. Pep was playing the Pep roulette again, Rod. Why don't you talk me through some of the players who were missing that had an impact on most people this week?
So, obviously, we know Liverpool have 2 key Brazilians in Fabinho and Alisson, and apparently they got dropped off in Madrid straight away. And obviously, we know City have Ederson, Jesus, who else do they have? Fernandinho. Obviously, they've got some Brazilians as well who, with Pep's squad, he can afford to leave them out and still play a strong team. And I clocked that Zinchenko was back in training last week, so I thought maybe this will be a game where he's going to bench Cancelo, give Zinchenko some minutes because it's against a poor Burnley side where he can afford to play a weakened team. So, obviously, but he didn't. He played a very strong team and he did play Cancelo. But what was strange for me was he left out the man who's played virtually all the minutes in the Premier League since joining in Diaz. So that annoyed me a bit. And then obviously for Leeds, Rafinha was missing out, even though he's an integral part to the squad. But you can't expect him to play twice in basically 48 hours. And then Jimenez was also left out for Wolves, which is strange considering he's played almost every game. So the South Americans really, a lot of them were absent this week.
Yeah, and I was aware of Rafinha missing. I benched him. You had a bit of trouble. Was it you had Rudiger as well as Diaz?
I did. I had Diaz. Obviously, he came on for 1 point. Jimenez came on for 1 point. Rafinha didn't play, and then Rudiger was injured. So essentially, I had 4 big players out. But I don't know. It's just the way FPL goes sometimes, isn't it? That you can't predict it.
But to come away with 59 points, I had all my team starting. It was just the fact that most of them did shit. So to come away with 59 points, you've done really well there. You know, it's always hard to predict, especially with City. They've got such a big squad as well, let alone them having missing players. Then it's like a real guessing game because Pep does like to play the Pep roulette. He likes to change players in and out quite a lot. So it's like really hard to know who to put in your team if you do want City players because they're such an outstanding team. You know, they're going to get a lot of points, but it's really hard to judge who you want to bring in or take out.
That's what I want to touch on Chelsea and City, because obviously we know we've got the Champions League this week. I think tonight we have City and then tomorrow we have Chelsea, and it's going to be interesting to see which players play in that game, because then they are less likely to play on the weekend. So I've got my eyes on especially Cancelo and the centre-backs for City, because I feel if Cancelo does play this week, or this midweek for the Champions League, which City need to win, I feel like he misses out on the weekend, so he will be in my thoughts to bench. And then obviously I am looking at who plays for Chelsea, because if Alonso plays left back, I will be looking to maybe get Chilwell in for the weekend because he does look very good. So I think the Champions League is definitely going to be something to keep an eye on in terms of rotation risks.
Yeah, 100%. I've already looked at someone who I want to bring in for next week, but I'm going to leave that for the preview show. But now let's talk about some of the fixtures and some of the players who really turned up in those fixtures, Rod. We're going to start with the early kickoff. Liverpool against Watford, Rod. Obviously, we was watching this. I missed, I think, 20 minutes was the second half while I was out. And then I came back and all of a sudden it was fucking 4-0. So I had to rewind it and watch the goals. But what did you think of this game, Rod?
It was interesting to see the lineups. We did see the cycling goalkeeper in goal in Ben Foster, which is surprising considering Backman is back fit. But I think we expected Liverpool to win, but I don't think we expected Liverpool to win by 5-0. And if I could touch on it, I thought Watford were dreadful. I couldn't see any identity. I think they strung together about 200 passes in 90 minutes, which is atrocious. I think Kelleher for Liverpool touched the ball more times than any Watford player. It kind of just epitomises the game where Watford were poor and Liverpool were brilliant. And of course, Salah shone and he was absolutely amazing.
He's really making it hard now to not captain him, especially in the form that he's in, because it's not just the fact that he's got the nag for scoring goals or anything like that. It's the fact that the individual brilliance he's shown to score these goals. People were debating which goal was better, this one or the City one. I actually think the City one was better, but it was still a phenomenal goal. And, Liverpool really bossed the game from start to finish. I felt that Watford really lacked an out ball. A couple of occasions you saw Foster hoofing it out of play, basically, because no one was available. I was disappointed in Watford. I thought, they get the new manager bounce. They didn't get that, Rod. They got the complete opposite. They parked the bus. They never really looked like getting out of their own half, and it was a real shocking display. Firmino got the hat-trick. He's looking like a guy that may be worth a pickup, and Sadio Mane getting another goal. Like you said to me earlier though, Rod, you can't really go wrong but with Salah going along with any other of the Liverpool front three at the moment.
What they'll always bring you goals, and that front three is an established front three where they're always going to create things for each other. And what Firmino kind of gives you is what Jota doesn't, is he drops into that space just behind Mane and Salah, and he can kind of pick the pass, he can play, he'll get the ball, and he works incredibly well with them, and that's why they're such an exciting team to watch, because those front three can do anything. And it's not a surprise that we're talking about Salah each week because he's continuing to be brilliant.
Yeah, and we both got a clean sheet. You had Trent, I had Robbo. They came off, but it was just after they secured the bonus for the points and locked in the clean sheet, which was it was good for us. And I think if you don't have one of them, you're doing something wrong at the moment, because I think you need at least one of them, because Liverpool are looking very solid at the back since Van Dijk's return from injury.
Even Van Dijk's a good shout. You need to have a Liverpool defender. Like you said, they do look solid at the back. Obviously, Trent and Robbo are a million more, but they do give you that attacking outlet as well. They can create things from free kicks, corners. So I think you have to have a Liverpool defender in there.
Right, Rod. We both had shit weeks in terms of our clubs. But on my list on the side, it's your clubs up first, Rod. Why don't you take us through this Villa Wolves game? I know you turned it off before the final goal, but why don't you say what you saw?
So I thought for 80 minutes, I thought we were a good team. We weren't amazing, we weren't bad, we were good. We were in control. At 2 goals at home, you should be in control. And then we made a few changes. Douglas Luiz came off, which completely changed the complexity of the game. He was in and about the number 6 position, winning the balls, dictating play. He came off for Nakamba. Then Ramsey came off for Buendia, who I got to admit, Buendia was amazing. He was really, really good. Looked like his usual self. And then it just kind of went poorly. We created far less, and we hit the 80th minute, and Wolves were just coming onto us. We just sat back, allowed them to come onto us, and they scored, I think, 80th minute exactly.
Yeah,
okay, there's 5 minutes, there's 10 minutes to go. Just hold on, or even go at them. We should have gone at them.
Yeah.
And then I think 85th minute they scored again.
That's correct, yeah.
Connor Cody. Then I was like, brilliant. I just knew this was going to happen. Once a team has momentum and they keep applying pressure, you know you're in trouble. And then I think it was approaching the 90th minute, and I was like, I'm going to turn it off. My heart can't take it anymore. I went and got changed, and I turned on Twitter, and I saw they made it 3-2, which absolutely horrific. You cannot throw away a 2-goal lead at home with 10 minutes to go. I think serious questions need to be asked game management wise. And in particular, the defence, they need to learn how to clear a ball, because just what happened should not have happened.
Yeah. Let's take it back to the start of the game. So it was really end to end, especially in the first half. I thought Villa were doing a real good job in the midfield. I thought John McGinn had an absolutely brilliant game. Douglas Luiz was looking real sharp in the middle of the park as well. You got the first goal though with Danny Ings just after the second half, just into the start of the second half, wasn't it? Was it end of the first half?
It was
second half. Second half, yeah. It was some brilliant play from John McGinn, who's looked on fire recently with Villa and Scotland. Brilliant bit of hold-up play by him. Then he got the ball into Ings, who put it away really nicely with his head. Then John McGinn got a deflected goal later on in the game. And then, for me, after the John McGinn goal, I didn't think Villa looked the same. They were pushed far too back. It was like they were bringing on pressure from Wolves, and they never really got up the pitch. I think they did, when they took off the likes of Nakamba, Luis for Nakamba, and who was it? They took off Buendia as well for Jacob Ramsey. I thought they definitely lost something in the middle of the park. But I just felt like the way he pushed back really could have got up a bit more. He didn't really look to use too many outballs, didn't look to hit him on the break too much. It was really disappointing for Villa. And in terms of fantasy as well, it does kind of question, you're not really going to be looking to bring in too many Villa defenders, but it's disappointing for Emi Martinez as well. He's a really popular goalkeeper, conceding 2. In terms of Danny Ings, though, he did really well to get his goal. He's actually, I think he's got 4 in 6 games, so that's really good, especially in terms of fantasy if you're looking to bring him in. In terms of Wolverhampton, now, it goes, for me, it was a really hard pick this week, Rod, for the shit house of the week, but it's Ruben Neves. He fucking run the show in there. And to get a last-minute goal, a deflected free kick off Matt Target, it must have been heartbreaking for you lot, but absolutely exhilarating for the Wolverhampton fans. Brilliant performance by Neves. I thought he run the show, especially in the second half when you guys dropped deep. He's the shit house of the week for me. And now we have to move on for me to talk shit about United. Did you catch much of this game, Rod?
I ended up watching the highlights, so if I start, the Greenwood goal was just a touch of class. I think that's what Mason Greenwood is. Absolutely class. The finish was out of this world, right into the top bin. But I think after that, or even throughout the whole game, I just felt like you just gave Leicester so much time on the ball. And Gary Neville broke it up on Monday Night Football yesterday, where you were playing as 2 teams of 5. You had the attacking 5 and the defending 5. And it just didn't work. And there was so much space in the middle of the park. And Leicester, they haven't looked brilliant at all this year. And don't take it away with the quality of their goals against you, but they haven't looked the usual selves this year. So this was a game to kind of galvanise the crowd, galvanise the fans, and give Ollie a bit of support. But I just felt like he just got it wrong, and it's kind of showing his lack of tactical nous. How did you see it?
Yeah, in terms of, like, as you said, pressing, I felt like it for a long time with United. Obviously, it must come from the coaching, because it's like United don't press as a team. You look at like some of the great pressing sides in the Premier League, like last season, Southampton were really good on the press. Liverpool always been really dominant on the press, and they press as a team and they set traps basically for you. And I could see Leicester doing it in the United game. There's a few times where they might try something a bit optimistic and it'd fall to United player, but the amount of pressure they put them on, United would try and play a quick pass and it get intercepted straight away. I think when you watch United, you see players a bit confused, whether if they're pressing or if they're sitting deep. Bruno, a lot of the time he likes to press, but you see him press and he's on his own. Don't know how to press as a team. That's got to go down to the coaching standpoint. I thought Leicester thoroughly deserved the game. I think the goals from United's standpoint is Mason Greenwood, individual brilliance. It's not a goal which is, you can see the tactics in play where United are playing some sort of form to break down the team. It's literally individual brilliance. He cuts inside on his left foot, gets a bit of an outside, curving towards the outside, hits the post, no chance for the goalkeeper. And Rashford, it's just a fucking long ball from Lindelof. It was just a shit show, to be honest. I thought the Tielemans goal was absolutely brilliant from a Leicester standpoint. Caught United napping on the ball. De Gea giving the ball to Maguire after the United free kick, and Maguire's waiting on the ball to come to him, not going and getting it. Iheanacho with the tackle. Yuri Tielemans with one of the best goals I've seen in a while. The skill it took from him to do that. Then you're looking at Soyuncu getting a goal, Jamie Vardy and Daka. Vardy's in a bit of form at the moment. I think he looks like a real promising pickup for fantasy. Daka, on the other hand, I haven't really seen too much of him. I've heard other people saying how much of a talent he is. I think he was playing for Salzburg last year in Austria, and apparently he's a bit of a baller. And from what I've seen from him for Leicester, he looks very quick, he looks very active, and he looks getting behind, and he causes a lot of trouble. I thought Leicester were brilliant, and I thought United were shit.
If I could touch on what you said about the press, you're completely right. You don't press as a team, and it's pointless pressing as individuals because they can easily play out of that, where if you press, the three attackers go, close the gap, and the only player who was actually pressing, and it came up yesterday was on Monday Night Football, was Jaden Sancho. I think he has the most pressures in your whole team this year, which is surprising because
he hardly fucking plays.
Exactly that. So that's where I think Greenwood, Ronaldo and Bruno lack, where they won't press. Or if they do press, it's semi press, where they jog over and then they won't really run over and close the gap. So I don't know, questions do need to be asked about, to be honest, the coaching. And you've got a big game this week against Atlanta, and I think more pressure is going to mount if you fail to get a result there.
I think they're really going to struggle against Atlanta, to be honest. I think it's not an excuse, because it's just a thing I just wanted to say. I think United do sit a lot deeper as well when they don't have Varane in the team. I don't think they sit high enough anyway, even when they do have Varane. But Varane makes a big difference. I saw a lot of people shitting on Maguire as well. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Maguire was great or anything, but a lot of people saying, maybe Maguire should be dropped, and Lindelof should stay in. Lindelof's a fucking fairy, man. He's not physical enough. He doesn't fit the Premier League. Yeah, he's got on the ball, but for me, he's too slow, too soft for the Prem. I'd also like to say, just before we move on, it was so nice to see fucking Matic in that midfield. He's a proper six. He comes and collects the ball off the back four, likes to progress the ball forward. I thought he had a really good game, whereas others really underperformed. And, it's gotten to the point now where, United, are they even guaranteed top four? Because I don't think so at the moment. We was looking at a title challenge before the season started, and, we've got Ollie in charge. And the thing is, we've had Ollie in charge now for a while, but we've had other managers before that, and we've got good players in our team, but we've had good players before that as well. And I don't think it's a coincidence that every time, since we've had the Glazers, we've just been on a real, a downfall. I don't know how to put it into words at the moment, but yeah, it's just really disappointing as a United fan. I was glad we was able to go out after this, Rod, because I wanted to get fucking hammered after watching that shit show.
I think we both did after watching 2.
Yes.
We didn't get the right way.
Yes, mate. I'll just quickly touch on City against Burnley. Pretty much as you expected for City. It was a bit different because of players starting, not having Jesus. I don't think Farhan played. I could be wrong in that. No, he didn't play. They played with Sterling, Foden and Mahrez for the middle. Thought Mahrez was brilliant in this game. I did think, it was a bit weird on City's part because normally they batter them 5-0 every time, I was saying last week. But, it could have really been 2-2 because Burnley created some real deep, not a lot of chances. I'm not saying that. What's the stat saying? They had an XG. I can't say it. They only had 7 shots, Burnley, but that's more than I expected. But they had a chance with Cornet, is it? In the first half where he ran through one-on-one with Stefan. And, another day that goes in. And towards the end of the game as well, I think it was Chris Wood who just missed from a set piece where he basically had an open goal. Real disappointing for Burnley. But then again, it's kind of a nothing game for them. It's like they could throw that one away, no worries.
Yeah, like we said, it's a game you expect City to win, and I don't think City were brilliant. I don't think Burnley were poor. It was just a bit of a average game, and like you said on the XG, City had an XG of 2.14 and Burnley had one of 0.93. So it's what you expect when you're away to City, isn't it? Where you're going to get a couple chances, nothing too clear cut, and it's going to be hard to make anything of it because playing at the Etihad is never easy.
Yeah, moving on now to Norwich against Brighton. Brighton dominated the ball in this game, but they weren't really able to create anything too significant. A great chance for Trossard where a high ball into him from Maupay and he gets over the top of it and it's just dipping. It's a great save from Tim Krul. Norwich is going to be really disappointed with this one as well because they had 15 shots to Brighton's 11. Although they didn't have much of the ball, they had a really good chance with Pukki a couple of times, and Josh Sargent missed an awful shot where the actual king of Gameweek, the man of the match for this one, Robert Sanchez, made an absolute howler of a mistake, came running out of his box, missed the ball completely, fouled to Sargent just outside the box. All he needed to put on target with enough power to actually reach the goal. He hit it so fucking slow. I don't think it would have reached even if the player didn't get there.
That's looking at the XG. I think that's exactly why the XG's been inflated, because I looked at the stats and I spoke to my friend who's a Brighton fan, and he said that Brighton completely controlled the game and Norwich had a couple of counter-attacks, but nothing too effective. And looking at the XG, Norwich had an XG of 1.15 compared to Brighton's 1.25. But I can imagine that Josh Sargent chance inflated it by probably 0.9.
Yeah, man, surely. But in terms for Brighton, in terms of FPL, real solid game again from defensively, other than the mistake. Duffy and Sanchez, who I've been running with now for at least the past 4 weeks, really solid. I think they've at least picked up 3 clean sheets. They've been playing really well defensively, and I'm sure Graham Potter's a bit disappointed to come away with just the 1 point against Brighton, but against Norwich, sorry. But it is what it is. Moving on now, Rod, to the Southampton against Leeds game, and I think Leeds are in a bit of trouble here, man. I know a lot of people saying second season syndrome and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's just I just don't think. I think that a lot of being asked of the team by Bielsa, and I don't think they have the quality of players to actually provide that.
And this is what softened the Villa blow a little bit, because I am not a Leeds fan, and to be fair, I just don't really like Leeds as a team, as a club, etc. So seeing them play poorly against Southampton, I was fully down for. And like you said, they've got an average squad at best. The majority of these players are championship players. And what summed it up for me was when they brought off Rodrigo, who was meant to be a decent player, and I think we yet to see the best of him, and they brought on Adam Forshaw. That kind of just explains and epitomises their quality. And without Rafinha, they just don't really look like creating anything. And that's why I thought Daniel James was a weird signing for them, because I think they were calling out for a ball-playing centre midfielder who can attack, because obviously Phillips in that 6 role was brilliant, but they needed that number 10. And I spoke to a few Leeds fans who are my mates, and they were like, they couldn't understand why they signed Dan James, and they really wanted a number 10. So if Leeds were to be around the bottom this year, I'd be more than down for that.
Wow, man, I just want to know how many fucking friends you got, because you got a friend from every team, right? It's by the sounds of it. Just some stats. Leeds did have a bit more of the ball. They had 3 shots in total to Southampton's 19. Never really looked like scoring, to be honest. Bought Broha. I thought it was Borja, right? Like he's blue back in the day for me and you, Rod. Borja Vallejo, but no, it's Broha. I think he's the youngest ever Southampton player to score on his debut. I think he's either Spanish or Brazilian, but decent for Southampton. I think that you messaged me saying that they had a XG of 1.95. Was that, Rod?
Yeah, Southampton's XG was 1.95 compared to Leeds' 0.47. So that kind of epitomises how the game really went.
Yeah, it does. And in terms of FPL again, Rod, Livramento is a must fucking have, isn't he?
I've had him since the first day of the season, because as soon as I saw that he moved to Southampton, I knew he was going to play. And he's been brilliant since, and he epitomises that modern day fullback, always bombing on past the winger and creating chances. But defensively, he's also stellar. So big signing for Southampton.
Yeah, he's really solid. He's got quite a few clean sheets already for Southampton, and I didn't know anything about him before he moved there. I didn't pick him up until at least game week 1 or 2, where I saw he was actually playing consistently, because I thought, are they going to bring back in Kyle Walker-Peters? But they didn't. Takes us on to the next game, Rod. Brentford against Chelsea. We was out when we was watching this. I missed most of the first half. Why don't you take us through
it? So we were at the pub for this game, but I did keep an eye on it, and
I was a bit hammered watching it, to be fair.
I thought Brentford were completely unlucky not to get anything, and the XG says so. Where Brentford had an XG of just under 1.9 compared to Chelsea's 0.28, and I think Mbeumo hit the post. And I just think Brentford completely they went at them, and we got to admit Chilwell's goal was a very, very nice goal, but Chelsea didn't really look like their usual self. And if I just quickly touch on the stats, where Brentford had 7 shots on target compared to Chelsea's 1, and that 1 was that wonder goal by Chilwell. And
yeah,
Brentford, they have really surprised me this year. They're giving me Leeds vibes. They gave me Chef vibes. So it's going to be completely interesting to see where they can go, because I do really like Thomas Frank as a manager. And I think anything in the top half this year, they've completely outdone all expectations.
Well, yeah, Chelsea had 1 shot on target. And like you said, they do actually give me Chef vibes. I'm a big fan of Pinnock at the back. I think he's been brilliant from so far. But yeah, they had so many chances, man. They had they were just whipping balls into the box towards the end. I remember Norgard chested it to an overhead kick, and it was just saved by Mendy, who I don't know how many saves he made, but he must have made a shit ton. Well, he made 7 saves by the looks of it, because there's 7 shots on target. It was brilliant from Brentford, showing us, they deserve to be here. And I'm a big fan of their manager, man. He says it how it is at the end of the games. He doesn't pussyfoot around it. He went, look, we dominated Chelsea today. We were unlucky not to win, but that's football. He said, we come here 9 times out of 10, we play that game, we win it. And it's true. Edward Mendy, for me, real solid pickup in fantasy anyway. But I was actually a bit worried for Chelsea, because I got Lukaku and I'm already looking at shipping him out, Rod. I know we're on this brilliant run. I'm going to keep him in now for the Norwich game, but I'm potentially going to ship him out after, just because he's just not looking that lively. Do you know what I mean? I know he had a couple chances in the game. He had the disallowed goal, but there's something about him which doesn't look right.
And He's got a heavy price tag at 11.7 million, but I am gonna keep him because they do have Norwich, Newcastle, and then Burnley. And then after that, they do have Leicester, Man United, Watford, West Ham. And then I will be looking potentially to maybe ship him to Ronaldo if he decides to turn up. Maybe a Vardy. There are some choices, but
I think after this game week, the one to look for is probably Vardy. But just as you said there, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Lukaku doesn't actually turn up for these next 3 games, but then turns up for the ones after. That's the sort of player he is. Anyway, yeah, great for Brentford. Definitely. I'm interested in picking up a couple of Brentford players, more on the defensive side. I'm kind of tempted by Pinnock. I'm a big fan of him. But we'll move on to Everton against West Ham. I didn't actually watch this one live. I watched the highlights of it though, Rod. Did you see it live?
I did see it live, mate, and I feel like it was an evenly matched game. I don't think anyone stood out for me. Because obviously we know Everton are still missing 2 key players in Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. And I do feel like West Ham were pretty much full strength. And no one really stood out for me. I feel like an even game. A draw would have probably been a fair result. But like I think touching on wet wipe, I'm going to have to give the wet wipe award to Jordan Pickford, where he gave me vibes of that Liverpool derby where he couldn't catch the ball and it cannoned off the crossbar and Origi scored. But this time, Antonio went up for the header. Pickford couldn't catch the ball and was claiming that it was a goal kick. And it went out from the corner. And the preceding corner was a good goal. Bowen crossed it into Ogbonna and Ogbonna finishes it. And I don't know. I feel like Everton, they're a well-conditioned side, but you can't see how much they're missing Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. And I feel like they're going to be all right, but I don't know. On the goal front, Rondon is not cutting it, but at the same time, I don't think anyone expected Rondon to play as much as he is.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate of them to miss both Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. I do think they kind of not get in each other's way when they play together, but there's a bit of an edge from Richarlison towards Calvert-Lewin, I feel like. But I'm a big fan of the Everton midfield still. I think Damari Gray's still looking like a baller. It's just, the man at the top of the pitch, he's not here. It's kind of like United when they were playing with Vigalo. Very similar. But yeah, Jordan Pickford, definitely a wet wipe. I don't know. He's just got one of those dislikable faces, isn't he? That's how I describe Jordan Pickford. Anyway, we'll move on to the Newcastle against Tottenham game. It's the first game under the new ownership, Rod. Who could have got wet wipe of the week, actually? It could have been John Joe Shelby because he had an absolute fucking mare after coming on. Anyway, it was it started great for Newcastle. We got a goal after 2 minutes. But that was soon put to bed when Ndombele scored in the 17th minute. What a baller he is. What a finish that was as well. And then Kane getting his first goal of the season.
I think the writing was on the wall for Newcastle to score the first goal. And the atmosphere before the game was amazing. The ground was virtually on its hinges. And then obviously Wilson scored and it erupted. And then it kind of went downhill for them. And Newcastle looks back to being Newcastle where they were average. And on the counter, Maximum would cause some problems, but it wouldn't ever come to fruition. But I thought Spurs put in a solid performance. I didn't think they were anything brilliant. They were playing a poor Newcastle side, but they kind of did what was expected of them, and they did score some good goals in Kane and Ndombele. So maybe they can kick on from this and fire up the table. But I do think it was a vintage Newcastle performance. And as much as I don't really like Steve Bruce as a manager or as a person, it was nice of him to get his 1,000th game. But I do see him leaving, or not leaving. I do see him getting sacked within the next few days because they're in trouble, and it's an uphill battle for them to stay in the division.
Yeah, and this game was really overshadowed by the moment in the crowd where poor Newcastle fan, I think it was either cardiac arrest or heart attack. But quick help of someone in the crowd who apparently was I don't know what you call him, a doctor. I think he was even a cardiac doctor, which was fucking brilliant for the guy in the crowd. And, also Regulon stopping the game so there could be more attention brought to it. And Eric Dyer getting the guy with the defibrillators. It was, it was terrifying but heartwarming moment when you see, how much football really doesn't matter, but how quickly people are to react and to help people. It's good to see that, people are still good and not all evil.
It does,
like the Saudis.
It really does put things into perspective, and I think the quick reactions of Reguilon and Dyer potentially saved that guy's life. And it was nice to see everyone come together. And I have heard since that I think he was in hospital and he's doing okay. So that is good news, and best wishes go to him and his family.
Yeah, and I saw one of his friends, I think it might have been, tweeted out that he's going to be back at St James's in no time, and hopefully for him, he will, and I hope everything goes well. Just to end off now, Rod, on the review show, we're going to talk about Arsenal against Crystal Palace last night. I missed this game, Rod, so you're going to have to talk to me about it. I've seen the goals, but I haven't seen too much of the actual game.
So I watched the game, so good idea of what happened. But looking at the XG, I'm a bit surprised with Arsenal having an XG of 1.84 compared to Palace's 0.53, which I don't feel like watching the game that was the case, where I thought Palace, they were drilled very well, they were conditioned very well, and I thought they did really well. And Aubameyang scoring early kind of dampened their tempo, but since Aubameyang scoring that first goal, for me, Arsenal weren't really that threatening at all. Thought Palace kept them out very well, and for me, the star player was Odsonne Edouard. He was absolutely brilliant. Every time he got the ball, he was driving at Arsenal, tricky skills, and he's done well in giving it to Benteke, I think, and Benteke, brilliant finish into the bottom corner. And then kind of Palace just pushed on, threatening. Gallagher was outstanding as well, and Edouard scoring the second goal, which I thoroughly deserved. And I don't know, although got to talk about the incident, MacArthur probably should have been sent off late in the first half for completely swiping Bukayo Saka, getting zero the ball. And then Lacazette scoring late on. I think what Palace did, what Villa did, was the last few minutes they allowed the opposition onto them. And you're always going to be in trouble when that happens, because the more time the opposition have, the more time they have to probe and eventually create a goal-scoring chance. And Ben White hits a half volley, ricochets off Martinelli, the keeper saves it, and it just falls to Lacazette, who's in the right place in the right time. And it's quite funny how MacArthur should have been off in the first half, and he was the one playing Lacazette on for the equaliser. So swings and roundabouts, I guess.
Yeah, football karma, I guess, isn't it? And so obviously I only saw the goals. I just thought just want to touch on the Edouard goal. I thought it was brilliant. I like the build-up playing it as well. Benteke's goal was really good as well. So that's why I can't really understand the XG, because they were like good quality chances, I thought. Palace are just really impressing me this year. And there was a lot of doubt under Patrick Vieira before the season. I know our other host, Danny, he wasn't a big Vieira fan to start. I just kind of blindly backed him. I just thought he'd do something, and he really is. He's rebuilding this Palace side, and they're looking really promising going forward.
Just had news come in late that Decore is doubtful for the weekend with a foot injury, so that'll be something we can touch on in the preview show.
Yeah, and the preview show will be up not long after this one, if not at the same time. We're going to end this show now. This was the review show. We're going to do a preview now for game week 9, is it? God, the season's going fast. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment below, and do subscribe if you're enjoying the content we're putting up. Me and Rod, thank you if you do. Until next time, which will be soon. Peace. Bye.